I have to re-engage what I see here. At least I'm not hearing an echo, which is good. Uh, let's see if I've got anything here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go in. Yeah. All right. Brother. Anybody out there seeing me for the first time? Oberheim's in. Nice to see you, Brandon. How am I sounding? Let me know. You said you sound good. Oh, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. I'm just trying to get to the right one that I've got going here. All right, I see you. Sound better now, mate. I see you. Blessings. All right. Rockin' Robin Bird's in. Sound is good. I hear you, Divining Dragon. Hey, by the way, folks, while I'm at it, can I ask you all to give me another thumbs up if you gave thumbs up on the last stream, because this is the one that's going to count. Okay, and I've had to reconfigure all my notes here and everything. You know, I have been working on this stream all day, and the ability to present it in in an easily defined way is practically impossible. But I'm going to do my freaking best. And as people are going to be, you know, coming into the stream, I always want to do my shout outs to people. And I wanted to give you an update of one of our oldest and most supportive tribal members to boot. First of all, Brendan, you gave me a super thanks on the last channel or the last stream that I had to abort. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I also wanted to give some shout outs, I should say, to some tribalites that did so on my last stream. I always do this during the time that people are filtering in on a live stream. And then we'll get right to the heart of the matter tonight, folks. So bear with me. First of all, I have to mention Oberheim again. Brandon, thank you so much for your continued support. You asked if you were being what, a pain or something like that. As I told you in the comments on the last stream, never, brother. You are a blessing. I appreciate it. White Monkey, if you're out there, thank you so much. He gave a super thanks on the last stream, along with RBR, the Retro Beat, as well or the Retro Beat Repository. Sorry about that. And Deuces Wild, thank you so much. And Rockin' Robin Bird, you're right out there in the chat right now. Thank you so much for your super thanks. Now, I wanted to continue on with a little bit of an update. A lot of you were asking in my very last stream, you know, where is Stormcop 55, aka James, right? James doesn't miss my videos. He doesn't miss any of my members only videos. He doesn't miss anything that I do, and has been a major supporter of this channel ever since he found me. All right. And so a lot of you have gotten to know him. He's always there. There's about 5 or 6 of you. If I started mentioning names by now, of course, Divining Dragon would be at the tip top of there, where they almost serve as hosts for the stream. And I really appreciate that. And so Stormcop or James has always been a part of the welcoming wagon for the stream or for the tribal forum here. Now, I wanted to cover a bit of information that I've gotten on James. He sent me an email, all right? And I'm just going to read portions of this, but it'll give you an idea of what's going on. If you recall, a few weeks ago, the southeastern part of the United States was hit by tornadoes. Well, they've been hit again. James survived that, and of this second set of storms or second major barrage of storms, he tells me, looks like I didn't fare as well as I did during the last few rounds of tornadoes and storms. I don't know if I can recover from this. We have insurance, but with as many homes damaged this time, there is no way of telling when insurance can get us back or get back to us. Right now, Don and I are okay. Blessings, and we're so happy about that, James. That's the main thing. We're also so very sorry about what you're going through. If you don't hear from me for a while, this is the reason. So that if and it doesn't look like Stormcop is in the chat tonight, and there's good reason. He asked me to please inform the tribe. I have survived many storms. I guess it's just fate that one day my luck would run out. This is the day. I'm sorry for bothering you. I may be off YouTube for a while. I'm sorry if I'm letting you down. Well, you're not bothering me, and you never have let me down. Now, he goes on to, that he's concerned that, during this time of hardship, his membership and all of that going. And all I can say is, first of all, and his status, yeah, as a tribal chieftain, as a member. Well, first of all, there's nothing I can do about the way YouTube is connected, James. There's nothing I can do about, making sure you're going to get those members only videos. But I'm going to tell you, your shout out is staying right where it is. I'm making an overriding decision right here, right now, tonight. You are a permanent tribal chieftain for this channel, irregardless of whatever status you are, brother. All right. You've been too important to this channel. And I'm going to make another overriding decision tonight. I'm also going to include from now on in my shout outs of channel members. I'm also going to include Helene Spalding, and for many of the same reasons. Not necessarily for her financial support, although she's done that as well. All right. And I've shouted it out every time. But without Helene, this channel wouldn't be the size it is. She did some key moves and did some key shares that really launched this channel at the time, into the stratosphere, right? And it's been my humble responsibility to make the channel worth her faith in me. So she'll also be included in there. I'm not sure what we could do from this point. Maybe some of you know something about how a GoFundMe type of thing could be set up. If anything can be set up, I'm just not into that. I don't know anything about it. Let me know, and we'll see what we could do, and we'll take it from there. But James, you are a permanent member of this tribe, and you are a tribal chieftain and one of my confidants, and you know that we do a lot of communicating in between videos and not just in the comments. So prayers and thoughts to you. And for those of you who believe in that system, you believe in prayer as being helpful, please give your prayers for James and Dawn as they go through this time of trial. I'm just glad both of you are physically okay. All right. So that kind of gets us all up and going. All right. First of all, we're going to start off by talking about a decision that the U.S. Copyright Office has made, or a declaration. Okay, they've done two of these response. There was a part one in their report. It was a report, and their part one was it defined certain things, and then this part two went on to define other things. And let's see. Let's get down to this. When I had to switch over, everything went blank. So it's not going as smoothly as I wanted to, Mabel. Anyway, there were some basic decisions made in this part two that are key. And of course, Rick Beato, in one of his latest videos, was talking about this decision. And we'll get into that in a minute, because that was kind of I watched the video. And as you guys know, I've talked about AI many times on this channel. I'm not a fan of it. And we're going to be talking about that and why. For those of you who are new, I'll do a recap on what I think is wrong with it, and it's rearing its ugly head, folks. Now, in this part two decision, they say for any work to be copyrightable in the U.S., the office affirms that the human authorship must contain some degree of originality and cannot merely be the result of time and effort. This based on the fact that they made the decision that a human, at least a human, a single human, has to be involved in the creative process that got that song. Okay. Now remember that, because later on, later on, I'll be talking about that and why and how that can be even circumvented. Okay. So, but it is an important decision that at least a human being, and for singer songwriters, often, I'm telling you, I sent in songs, me strumming on a guitar and singing into a mic of my original material, along with lyrics and whatever tablature. I don't read music fast enough to write it out for the copyright office, right? So that's how I've always copyrighted. Or I've sent a demo with drums and everything just because I had it, right? And that's how I've always copyrighted my songs. So a human being has to be involved, if not more. Okay. So usually most songs are kind of capped off with words and music by whoever, or written and composed by whoever. And if it's words and music by the same guy, you'll see one name there. If it's words and music by a couple of guys, you'll see both of their names, or two or three, four. That's how it works. All right. Now it says, with this in mind, along with noting that each determination of protectability must be made on a case by case basis. Yeah, that's what we need, right? We need no more gum up in the government. But anyway, the office lays out three key scenarios in which AI generated works may qualify for copyright protection. Now, let me get down to a spot here. Uh, Human authors select and arranges. Okay. Yes, let's get down to this point. Okay, so what they're talking about is it's gotten to the point with AI, and of course, I'm talking about three specific AI platforms tonight. All right. Eureka is one. All right. And what was the other one? Was it White Monkey? I'm trying to remember which one of you brought it up. It's in my notes. If my notes would just pop up on this screen, it was yeah, Udio. Thank you, Udio, and then Sumo. And Sumo is a platform I've talked about on this channel. I've done videos on Sumo. Sumo is the same platform, the same AI platform that received $120 million investment late last year, if you recall. And so everything we're going to be discussing tonight, we're going to kind of get an updated view on where even Sumo is, as well as these other two in general right now. All right. So anyway, they're saying that prompts alone are not enough to claim a copyright. Okay. In other words, you can't go to an AI platform and say the following: I'd like you to write a song, a love song about my grandmother and grandfather back in 1932, meeting for the first time. I'd like it to be, because it's gotten like this, folks. It's gotten exactly like this. And they're saying that's not enough. That is not enough. That's uncopyrightable. And all that means is it's unprotected if you get right down to it, right? So it gets into that whole idea. Then this article went on to talk about global comparisons. of copyrightability. Many countries agreeing with the United States and backing them up, but key countries not, China being one, where that type of input with the example I just gave you is copyrightable. Okay, so keep all of that in mind as we go on with what I'm going to talk about with Rick Beato here. Now, Rick started off his entire video by pretty much claiming all of that, what I just said, in about 1 minute, just getting it down to two basic points. But this is a stream, and it gives us a little more opportunity to dive a little bit deeper. So that's why I took the time that I did just now to kind of give you a background of what he's talking about. Basically, he just said this, you need to have a human involved, and we talked about what that means, and that it's backed by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says the author of a copyrighted work is the person who translates an idea into a fixed, tangible expression entitled to copyright protection. Okay, so this is another example. I'm not so sure that this translates in a good way. Now, Rick then goes to what was the song by Caden Smith, a song called Hold On to Love. All right. And then he plays a portion of it on screen for you. It's a popish kind of country flavored ditty. All right. And then he goes to, I believe, the first AI platform he used in the video. I don't think he even used Udio, or I didn't go that deep into the video. I know he used Sumo, and I know he used Murica, and Murica was the first platform he used. And he gave it prompts. Remember what we were talking about, prompts, right? And he gave it prompts like, I want another version of this song, or I want another version and a rewriting of this song type of thing. And then he played them, and he got two instant hits, and he played those. The first one was a key lower, or a couple of keys lower, and a more baritone male voice coming through. Instruments had been replaced, but it was following all the rules. If it had a country twang guitar, they might put a fiddle in there. I don't remember. You guys can go and watch his video after you see the stream, and then you'll be up to date. All right. I'm just giving it from memory. All right. And then the second version was of a female voiced rewriting of the song. Okay. And some of the key words was, you are my country. Right. And almost implying that, like you're as important as my patriotism to my country, type of thing. Or you are, if the original intent, it being a country flavored song, and that's his gig, you are that, right? Implying that. Now, what if you took a prompt and said, I'd like you to replace the word country with the word religion? You are my religion, baby, right? And make an alludement to faith, right? And then that changes it, right? Now, here's what I'm talking about, how they can get around this. And just hear me out on this. So you get that, right? So if they copyright and they allowed this thing to do, basically, that's a rewriting of the song, right? They might even say, not only do I want a lower key, there's all kinds of things. I want a different bridge. There's all kinds of commands they can send into this. But they're saying, even with those prompts, you cannot copyright. So we're safe, right? Are we? Are we really? What's to stop a person from running that through one AI program and getting the same results, writing it down, right? And then going to another AI platform that'll put it all together for him, and then invite a friend, a guitar player over, give it some, kind of organic flavor, and then send that off to the copyright office. How would the copyright office know the man hadn't been copied? I'll tell you, that's how a lot of songwriters start. Oh, I really love that chord progression from Let It Be, you know, and write an entire different melody around it. I've known songwriters who have done that, who wound up being very good songwriters, by the way. But a lot of songwriters will cut their teeth into songwriting by copying what is familiar, right? And this is the whole thing with the AI platform. That's what they're being programmed. That's what they're being taught to learn to do. It's a boomerang effect, folks. Looks like I got it flashed off on you guys there. Let's see if I can get back to where I was. So when that happens, good Lord, everything's freezing up. What is this? Friday the 13th or something, baby? What's going on here? I had a bubble. It says I went offline. I hope the main thing didn't go offline. Am I still on, folks? Let me know in the chat, and I'll find out. So anyway, then Rick Beato goes on and he just starts sampling some AI oriented songs. Okay. And tap retry, I will. Yes, sir. Anyway, and all of these songs, he has some critiques, and rightly so. Like there'd be a guitar um, passage that doesn't quite sound like a guitar. It actually sounds more like a keyboard in the attack and sustain and all of that. But he admits it's getting better and better and better. And his honest opinion at the end was basically this, that, and he says, I have friends who uh, in the industry who says nobody's ever going to buy into AI. It's fake, it's phony, and everything. And he makes the statement that he thinks people are going to like it, that there is a future for this. Now, he's testified in front of Congress before, and he's made his thoughts known. He's against AI. But let's go back to that first example of what he was talking about, that first song. And of course, my notes are totally gone right now. Um, and the iPad's taking photos when it's not supposed to. I ain't that purty. Anyway, I know, babe, isn't it? What a what a sham. Um, anyway, going back to the song, where is that? Where is Rick's, the one that he used? Oh yeah, Caden Smith. See, I didn't know the artist. Holding on to love. Well, let's start with the original to begin with. All right. If you listen to that portion of his video, the song already sounds plastic. So the what Rick thought were okay versions coming out of it, the rewritings, the remixing, the redone deals, the other versions, sounding okayish when the first song doesn't sound okay to me, is kind of weird in my head. And I'll tell you why. I hear auto tune. My God, it's been a long time since I've been listening to the latest stuff on pop radio, folks, and what's on the charts. I knew the last time I did a video on auto tune, it's probably been far too long since I've covered that. You could hear it all over the place. And now, in prepping for this stream, I started listening to all over the place. It's everywhere. I don't understand why people are entertained by that kind of sound coming out of the voice. Well, baby, you are the one I want. God, oh my God, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's a misuse of what it was originally intended to do, which what it was originally intended to do, although was a better thing, it still sucked, and I'll tell you why. It was originally intended to merely pitch correct a vocal. Say John Lennon was in the studio and he got a perfect take, except for in the third verse, he kind of flubs the thing, and they could use auto tune and just take his voice up to pitch right there and fix it in the mix, an old saying. about what engineers refer to a cacophony being fixed within a mix, through faders and EQ, special effects, all of that. So of course, they never did that with John Lennon. You got what you got. Those guys knew how to sing. And that's why I thought auto-tune in its original intent sucked too. And I'll tell you why. If you can't sing, don't record. If you can't write, don't copyright your music. All right? It just gets right down to it. Everybody wants a piece of the action. Now, I'm going to give you an example. What did I do with? I think I tossed this one. Oh no, I didn't. I actually had it in my notes. This is a music channel here on YouTube, and anyway, it doesn't matter which channel it is. As a matter of fact, the more I think about it, maybe it's smarter that I don't. If anybody wants that privately or on another platform, maybe I'll go ahead and bring that up. I just don't want to get into trouble by mentioning another YouTube channel and get somebody all ticked off at me. But this channel's been around for 2 years, and they're at about 17.2 thousand subscribers, right? And in the video, who were they talking about? I'm trying to even remember. As a matter of fact, I might as well go over there. And of course, they're giving me a commercial. See, I'm paying these guys, folks. All right, I'm off that. All right, so they were talking about Roger Waters, right? It exposes David Gilmour. Matter of fact, at 81, Roger Waters exposes David Gilmour is the title. All right. And in it, the voice is telling the story. And I was already getting a hint that this sounded so melodramatically written that it had a hint of AI to it. Anyway, they identified the voice identified the year 1970 as 1917. A hiccup in the Matrix. That's right. And then when they got to the year 1985, the voice went, and then Pink Floyd in the year 1985. Can you believe it? Because, see, that hasn't been fixed yet for a lot of YouTube content creators. And I've told you guys, I get automatic responses that I can use. I don't. I can push a button and just answer so many more of your comments with the push of a button because the AI has figured out my personality, uses even the way I spell words, how I use words, and everything else, right? So here's the deal. This channel is very successful. 2 years, 17,000 subscribers. That's pretty damn good, all right? And they have 9 million views, over 9 million views. Now, my channel, I just passed, and change, 11 million views. And my channel's been around for 3.5 years. So I got a year and a half on them, right? And I got to tell you, 11 million views for a 3.5-year-old channel is very good, folks. But 9 million views in a 2-year-old channel is exceptional. All right. That is exceptional. And it's all being driven by AI. I looked at a couple of more of their videos. It's just AI crap. Now, before I got on to the stream tonight, I noticed that I was talking to Kimberly and I told her I was going to bring this up. I even showed her this video. And she went, oh, God, yeah, I run into that all the time. So my first question to you guys, hey, Caitlin, I was over at Caitlin's stream today. Caitlin, I got a question for you. I still want to know why the band Zed Lepelin couldn't be a Z band. All right, you have to go over to Caitlin's corner and watch the replay on that to get that joke. But it's good to see you out there, Caitlin. All right. So now where was I? Okay, we're talking about where this channel is and everything. And my wife was talking about how she just switches those off. And then I told her, I go, me too. And I've gotten good where I can even tell by the type of writing, even if the voice is very realistic. Yeah, there's a verbiage they haven't quite got. But sometimes I'm real tired, and I'm just, oh, I want to see this about David Gilmour. And I was watching it, and it kind of fooled me at first this time. Usually I could, kind of figure it out. But then I heard 1917 instead of, and it's on the screen, 1970, right? And then identifying the year as the year 1985. Who the hell talks like that, right? That's AI, folks. So it's all over the place. And the reason I brought up this was that's a rock channel, right? But it's everywhere. It's everywhere in our lives. And are we not becoming kindergarten people? Are we not submitting ourselves to George Orwell's Big Brother? Did the novel 1984 actually come to fruition in 2024? When all of this nonsense and $120 million investment into making sumo, even better at what it does. So it's permeating every part of our life. And that's where I always have to say, look, first of all, this is a rock channel. So we're going to keep this all within the rock, purview tonight around how it affects rock. But here's another side thought for you, folks. It affects a hell of a lot more than just rock and roll. It affects a hell of a lot more than the other types of music. Okay. And when we're talking about copyrightable stuff and copyrighted material being different from country to country and what's A-OK, and how there's almost been a political agenda to promoting world music. What does that mean for us? What does that mean for us? All right, so yeah, what I want to do is get down here. Hi, Paul. How you doing? How's it going, brother? It's good to see you there. I was over at Paul's stream. Wasn't it last night, Paul? I think. You know, but you gotta, be gentle with me, Paul. I'm an older guy, and last week seems like yesterday. Let's see what some of you have to say. Deuce is wild. AI will never have the passion, spirit, feeling, love, and angst that only we humans can have. That's an excellent. Um, that is an excellent comment, and I'll tell you why. You can even teach all of that angst. And then give them the definition of angst, and then give them some then you program some literary examples of what angst is. They can do that. See, it's getting that sophisticated. But the passion, the angst, all of that. Can you duplicate the feelings that you had while writing a song, forlorn, and it's raining on you, and you're writing the lyrics because you got the perfect lyrics? See, all of that damn thing's virtual. It won't have those type of outer inspirations. Okay, and everything it's been designed to do is to steal. Okay, we've talked about how these programs, sumo specifically, is being taught to mimic uh, songwriting styles, to mimic vocalists, all right, to mimic guitar solos, to mimic guitar solo approach and how you write uh, a guitar solo, to mimic how you write a guitar solo if you were Eric Clapton in 1966, August 5th, practically. Okay? So it gets right down to that. It's on one hand, designed to create, but it's a freaking robot. And it can't experience the human condition. Then why do we let ourselves be put into kindergarten? You know how kindergarten was, right? You show up in the morning, you have A is for apple, intense meeting, right? And that's kind of as much as the kindergarten can learn for the first couple hours. A is for apple. Here's what a capital A looks like. Here's what a bottom A looks like. You're going to learn more of this in first grade, right? Then you go out to, recess, right? Come back in, and it's time for a nap, right? After nap, you get story time, and then maybe a lesson on this is a one and this is a two. Very basic, right? And you're being coddled and introduced into the idea of further schooling. That's always what kindergarten traditionally was, at least in my generation. It was an introduction to the idea of school. So when we listen to these recreations by an artificial entity, we're putting ourselves out as kindergartners, and it is now the teacher. It is now the principal. And that's the future for mankind because think about all the areas of life this thing is slipping into. Okay. All right. So let's get down here. Dwayne Chamberlain echoes your comment. I'm with Deuces Wild on this one. Rockin' Robin Bird, I agree. Deuces Wild also can be used for bad intentions. Okay, good. We've got a good rhythm going here. Let's see. Irgesplitten. I love your title there or your handle. What is the point in even being creative anymore? Says Ir. I'm gonna get this. Irgesplitten. Irgesplitten, right? Anyway, sure, doesn't have any financial incentive, doesn't it? You think these things are going to just be doing this for free? If they don't get paid on the lower end with copyright royalties, things like that, then it's going to get more expensive on the upper end. Somebody's going to be making money on this. I can guarantee you that. Imagine Lennon and McCartney having to deal with this. And I gave you an example of how John Lennon didn't need things like, this whole deal. And yet, Lennon and McCartney are dealing with this now because every week you hear a new AI version of a brand new Beatle like song written as if it was sang by John and Paul. They're ridiculous videos. The only reason I watch them is to gain knowledge of what's going on out there, and they sicken me, right? Dividing Dragon, Christian, he says, we are seeing all those variations. I have sore misgivings about all of this, and so do I. Absolutely, Christian. Kevin Hall says, zero keywords added to Udio, just two words, electrified blues, and got Chris Yulden from Savoy Brown, 1970 in their style too. And Kevin, I got your earlier comment when before the first stream even started. You may have even left it yesterday, and you even were harsher than that in your description about how it sounded. Right? You just type it in because the damn thing's been taught, to sound like Savoy Brown in this case. Next time it'll be the Guess Who. It's getting down to that. Edmond, sup guys? I'm driving, but wanted to say hello, Edmond. If you're driving and just listening to this, thanks for checking in, brother. Ear splitting again. That is sacrilegion. Sacrilegious dividing dragon. Nobody messes with Rubber Soul. Did I miss it? We are all seeing these variations. I have sore misgivings. Did you say something about Rubber Soul? Rubber Soul, I've talked about it. Matter of fact, we were talking about it, and I started calling it Revolver on one of my streams but I was into Rubber Soul. Just trust me. But I misrepresent, it. I was calling, Revolver is the first true album of rock when I meant to say Rubber Soul was. So there's a course correction from you. I flub it sometimes, guys, but no, it's too important of an album, man. That is a masterpiece. That is art incarnate. That is the Mona Lisa of rock and roll, if you ask me. All right, or the David of rock and roll. All right. Deuce is Wild. Has anyone ever seen the AI music video of Eleanor Rigby? Now that's really cool. It's just the original song with video playing out literally what the song is about. Yeah, and my only criticism of that is the following, Deuces. Um, is then are you putting cinematographers out of business? Are you putting graphic artists out of business with all of this? There's a ton. You know, we can't let them take away our humanity. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, I know a lot of content creators who use AI to generate their thumbnails, and I think it's ridiculous. It's absolute to me, and I know a lot of people don't agree with this. To me, that tells me that content creator isn't very creative. All right, content creator isn't very creative. See what I mean? I have trouble with that. We're supposed to be creative as YouTube content creators. Doesn't that make sense? Right? So when they're using these and making them all dolled up and looking like they're a damsel on the uh, railroad track, read between the lines, I think it just shows you lack a certain amount of talent, in my opinion. All right. If you're using automatic responses to answer your mail, your comments, um, you're not you're not very real, and you're not very honest. You're creating an illusion that you're actually talking to them, right? And if you're using AI to write your videos, shame on you, twice as fast, as far as I'm concerned. When I do my videos, I write them all, usually in my head with, you know, about a dozen notes just so that I know, and the rest of it's in my head. And I've done my research. I might have to add dates and whatever it is for the accuracy of the video, and I'll put those in my notes. But other than that, you at least get me creating it on the spot in front of you. There is no dial. I haven't written a dialogue for one single video ever. All right, and I've done pretty well doing it that way. So, and besides, if I had to do it any other way, I think I'd shut this channel down, because one of the reasons that I do this channel is it supplies me an avenue of creation. I've created everything in my life. When I learned the martial arts, I had to learn to be creative in my approach with the martial arts. That's the next level. When I was, first learning to write a song, I had to learn my way through it. Right. And I've always had to be creative. I draw because I wanted to be a comic book artist. Right. It's innate in me to want to create something, and I don't understand people who want to take a shortcut. Or to me, that's nefarious. Really, why are you on YouTube? And maybe my thoughts are antiquated on that. Maybe it's a whole new YouTube these days, because a whole lot of people are going to watch these things. 11 million views in 2 years means a lot of people find that entertaining. At least 17,200 people have found that entertaining. That's just okay with them. Is that what you want? Let me know in the comments as we go down here further, folks. I don't know. Yeah, good Lord. Why? Anyway, let's get on to another comment here. I could preach all day. Divining Dragon says listeners who are not capable of discerning AI from the originals may be taken in by it. I fear that, and you're right. And that's I think that was kind of Rick Beato, a portion of his final synopsis on his video, that it's the non-musicians that are going to be taken in, right, at first. But if it keeps going, then what are we going to get? We're going to get music that's going to fool even the experts. And then where are we? There's no way to prove that it's not real, right? And we have just succumbed and given up every ounce of freedom we have as artists and in other areas of life as human beings. Kevin Hall, let's see. I'm, all right. I'm guessing Udio searched my specific YouTube and or Spotify and Bandcamp history via my email address. Not good. I don't know what are do they have such avenues of access? I'm not aware. I really am not, Kevin. Give us more information if you know that. Harry Mack says AI music very subjective, but I do think Rick was pandering to his younger audience. You know, I kind of thought that for a while, or he's trying to be in on the cutting edge almost. You know, I mean, for a guy who testified in front of Congress, I would have thought he would have had a stronger stance. I didn't think, uh, or maybe he just feels he's being pragmatic, bud. You know, it's already a lost deal. And here, based on my information, here's what I predict because it was almost a prediction, wasn't it? Harry Mack once again here saying, oh, well, Dividing Dragon says that I sent you have a good point. Harry Mack again, auto tuning peaked when Cher made Do You Believe? That's, if that had been the only use for it, then that would have been like the Beatles running tapes through the hallways to create the loops they did for Tomorrow Never Knows, right? If they had just done it once, if she had just done it once, and then the music industry left it off, it was a one off, then maybe that would have been good. But now it's on everything. Even the ones where they tame it, you can hear it. I can, as a musician, I know what auto tune sounds like. All right. And to me, it's like either show up able to sing or have a voice that sings well enough that people are attracted to. Bob Dylan, not my favorite singer, but he has millions of fans that absolutely adore him and love his voice on top of that. They think it has character, right? So, but offer something real. Okay. This auto tune, self correcting. Oh, she's got a hot body and she dyed her hair blonde and she wants to make it in the music industry and she dances real well. Well, we'll just do her up this way, right? Isn't that what they do? All right. The one at caveat is, well, she doesn't sing real well. Oh, well, we'll fix that. We'll fix it where? In the mix. Fake. Totally fake. 2 laps to reach 40. Oh, I'm way behind because we've hit 68. I just noticed I have an audience of 73. I'm so glad to see you all tuning in tonight. Didn't know how a Wednesday stream. I haven't done. See, I do these midweek streams, but sometimes it's on Wednesday, sometimes it's on Tuesday, Thursday, and I haven't had a chance to nail in what's the best night for the best audience. We all want a good audience, but welcome to every one of you right now. I appreciate your time and your consideration. Okay. Let's see. Kevin Hall says the following Phil Kinley and his authentic video. Am I missing something on that? And his authentic video, AV stamp for your videos. I hope he has success. I'm not quite reading that right, I guess. Maybe I'm missing, a shortened a version of a word here. I'm not aware of. Sorry, brother. Deuces Wild. I think AI accompanied the original song, which is neat. I love seeing a video playing out the song, which is a story in many cases. All right, there you go. Um, let's see. Caitlin, just saying hello. What else do we have here? Deuces Wild. Autotune is an abomination. A man after or woman after my own heart. Hated it when it came out and still do, but this AI writing songs is on a whole different level. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But you bring up a good point, and I do want to talk about this. Um, First of all, when that came out and then it became a sound, it was fake to begin with. Matter of fact, they have algorithms that even run and the auto tune at this point, right? And so that was my biggest criticism when with the songs that Rick chose to feature the first song, and it sounded so plastic to begin with. And part of that is because of this auto tune that came in, right? Which corrects originally was supposed to correct the voice to the proper pitch and has since been misused. But we don't get just people singing into a mic these days. It seems like so many, even newer bands and newer artists are taking full advantage of this. And you've got to ask yourself, is it live or is it Memorex? I've used that analogy before. Okay, let's see who else is in the house here. Uh, uh oh boy, yeah, Dividing Dragons talking about antique shops. Don't get Kimberly started. Boy, she's a shopaholic. You know,
Yeah.
I've been known to leave her in a store and go to 4 or 5 stores, get all my shopping done, and she's only halfway through. Her and my daughter are like that.
I'm gonna go check out Caitlin's store.
DC Tune Time. Hey, brother, it's been a while since I've heard from you. Sadly, this is just the beginning. The tech is already in the wrong hands. And that's the problem. Unless we do something and absolutely override this, we're letting the U.S. Copyright Office off the hook here. But see, they're making their decisions based on what's being decided in the courts. This needs legislation. And you folks know I'm not a big legislation kind of guy, right? To me, legislation is only used as a last resort. But I fear DC is absolutely correct with this. It may be too late. We may be in the quicksand, and we've sunk to the point of no return. We're at the black hole, and we're at the point of no return. Right? There's no way to go but in and to sink. And I think that's where we're going, and we may be at that point of no return right now, unless emergency measures are taken ASAP. And yesterday would have been a good time to start that. Deuces Wild. AI will always have visible flaws. Person has 6 goddamn fingers on that photo. You dig? Yeah. Well, yeah. Then it gets, and I hear what you're saying. I've heard solos that go absolutely ape shit, and I go, "There's nobody on the planet that will ever be able to play that." And of course, it'll be able to play beyond human capabilities because its fingers, its playability is virtual, and virtual becomes infinite, right? So, good point. Uh, 75 watching. Yeah, yeah, we dropped a little, but that's okay. Let's see. Kimberly, okay, that's further information. Right. Deuces Wild talks about something that Dividing said. Let's see. Val Howdy. All right. Oberheim, Cycles Platter has Toby calmed down now. She's a very sweet lamb. Okay. Uh, I love it. You guys are just chatting amongst yourselves. I like to highlight, uh, comments that kind of keep us on an even keel, but every once in a while, that's cool. Uh, I just added 4 new things. I also sell sports cards on Whatnot. Caitlin, you are a hustler. I'll tell you that. DC Tune Time. The powers that be call the shots, and they don't really care about the masses. That's right. And it's all about profit. We're talking about, well, since AI has kind of been defanged here from the copyright, that just means they make the money on the front end. Money's made through the copyright process is money's made on the back end, the end, right? Everything has to sell. There has to be so much, and then you get your royalties based on all your paperwork. It's all at the end, right? Well, if they can't get that money, they're going to get the money that's before that money, before the copyright process, and that'll be the platform itself. I guarantee you. They're just letting us play with it right now. This is this is the kindergarten version, and that's the teacher to us. It's the kindergarten version, and it's already treating us like we're the kindergartners. DC, tune time. Exactly, Dragon. I wish it wasn't true. And does humanity truly have the will to resist? That's the problem with the mob mentality. That's the problem with mass mentality, and that's the problem in a world that does not celebrate the individual. All right. I call this channel, what we have here, the tribe. But I'm not talking about a tribe in the traditional sense of the word. There's a lot of tribalism going on in the world today, and I think it's a weakness of humanity. All right, it's what the hive mind thinks. Now, a hive mind is good if you're, getting a collection of many different individuals with many different beliefs and many different ideas of how this planet should run, and then get a consensus and let that hive thought come out, right? I like that. But when a tribe or tribalism encourages that you never speak against the doctrine, that's the end of the individual. And you can't have my individuality. Sorry. That's mine. I'll never give it up. But I fear that a lot of people are being brainwashed into giving it up without them really thinking that they're giving it up. Every time we take advantage of a new set of technology, this has been the very true since the beginning of the discovery of fire, folks. There are those that'll do right by it, and there are those that will abuse it and use it to destroy their own fellow man and enslave them. Plain and freaking simple. Juice is wild. Hearing music and knowing it comes from a real person's essence makes it special, and knowing that makes us smile. Absolutely. All right. I mean, I'll give you an example of inspiration. How could a computer get so tired after trying to write a song that it goes to bed in its virtual bed, exhausted, which it never will be, right? But let's say it's been programmed to get exhausted and and be inspired to write these following words. Words meander, all right? John Lennon. All right, there you go. I mean, he wrote that song across the universe, and he wrote the first thing that came out of his mind in frustration after spending an evening writing a song because damn it, he was a songwriter, right? The song wouldn't come to him until uh, he surrendered himself. That's it. I can't write a song tonight. I gave it the good old call. I'm exhausted. And then just as his mind was about to go blank, the words for Across the Universe came to him in a flash, right? So there's what is at stake. That's what is at stake. That's what we could lose. And what we're going to get is an infinite reinvention of what the AI can come up with and how it's been taught to think and everything else. All right. And then what happens when it teaches itself to teach itself? That's part two. And then it has a whole different agenda. Do you think it's going to be kind enough to let us in on what that agenda is? You don't think this is dangerous? I see it as extremely dangerous. I think it's the biggest danger to mankind in general right now, other than outright nuclear war. Okay? I mean, it's that dangerous. DC tune time. You know what? I keep getting beeps, babe, and that needs to.
I know.
Yeah, thank you, darling. I appreciate that. DC Toontime, AI is in its infancy. Shortly, humans will not be able to tell. Okay, yes, and we talked about that. And he ends it by saying, "It is coming. It is coming." All right. Dwayne Chamberlain, Lennon would have written songs about the AI invasion of the arts. Yeah, where are our writers not writing about this? With such barbed wired instrumentation and so organic of a sound that it where are our rock icons to lead us into a new revolution, folks? You know, what's happened to them? My goodness gracious. Okay, because of AI, you can hear Jim Morrison singing on a Doors album that was recorded after his death. Kind of strange. Yeah, no kidding. There hasn't been any good news music coming out for decades. I agree. For the most part, there's been some shining moments, but they're too far and too few between. Uh, Especially when you compare it to the glory days, brother. That's all I can say. Kevin Hall, yeah, I expected Rubber Soul on that video. Okay, you guys are still talking Rubber Soul. AI will take over and do our thinking for us. Zager and Evans had it right. One of my favorite songs, David Sampson. I love it. You know, in the year 2510, if God's a coming, he ought to make it by then. Maybe he'll look around himself and say, "Guess it's time for the judgment day." Absolutely. Freaking great song. Love that song. One of the few 45s that I bought. Like I said in the past, I never bought 45s unless it was like the Beatles and you just couldn't get that song on an album. And I did that. And for special songs, Aquarius was another one by the Fifth Dimension, and Zager and Evans, baby, I had that single. My favorite song of the year, I think. I was the perfect age for those lyrics, right? And my God, prophetic, and that's what makes it a great tune. That's what makes it art, right? Let's see. DC Tune Time. One more time says humans need purpose. Little by little, AI will eliminate the vast majority of the jobs. That's my point. Exactly. Deuce is wild. Great point, Michael. We do need to preserve as much of our humanity humanly possible. Nice turn of a phrase there, brother. I agree. I concur wholeheartedly. John Patterson, Rock and Robin, John Patterson. Sometimes I wonder if it's already happened with AI and backing tracks and aging rock stars. Well, it's all part of the package, isn't it? Right? So anyway, Divining Dragon, the saddest thing to watch nowadays is seeing Frankie Valli at 92 falling asleep at the microphone while the vocals keep going, huh? Right? Backing tracks. And see, this is the thing. Think about how this has been sold. It hasn't been just sold as, "Hi, I'm AI. Let me astound you." No. What about all the fakeness? A lot of people I've got an amp right here that'll emulate a Marshall stack. I've got a box back there that'll do the same thing. I've got a 8-track digital recorder here that'll do the same thing. Some people say that's cheating, right? And it's merely a recording of an effect, and then you get to dial it up. Nobody's hunting, nobody's chasing tones anymore. And the only time I would use those is if I didn't have an amp with enough crunch and I go, and they'd be for demos anyway. All right. And I wasn't fooling anybody, nor did I try to fool anybody about what equipment I was using and what I was doing. It was mainly to make demos so that I get my stuff copyrighted. Okay. Rock and Metal Guardian. Picasso, Da Vinci, Bach, Byron, Shelley, Harrison and Lennon, Bowie, and Phil Lynott are all looking down on us regarding AI with this expression. Good one, brother. Good one. Um, let's see. John Patterson. It has and possibly can be triggered by the performing lip movements. Okay. Are you talking about avatars or or is that like what they do to create the creature golem? Tracking movements and everything. See, now to me, that was a good and creative use. of artificial intelligence, or at least algorithms designed to track and create a special effect. But it didn't put a human out of a job, right? We knew who Gollum really was. All right, so here we go. I'll just keep listening to Fish, Goose, Humphreys, McGee, Widespread Panic, and countless other real bands. Absolutely. Okay. All right, folks. So we've gone over an hour. I think I'm going to shut it down for tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up. And my next live stream will be very interesting, which is going to be what I was going to do tonight, but I decided to run this one because it's so timely. But just who was the first heavy metal band? And that one will be based on Eric Clapton's an interview from 1991, I believe, with Eric Clapton, and he doesn't think that it is Black Sabbath. He has a couple of other ideas about that. So I encourage all of you to show up for that stream. And I'm going to sign off now. All right, folks, thanks for joining in. I appreciate it. This is Michael Noland, always has been. And this has been Tribal Forum number 19. We'll see you guys down the road. Night.